Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Erica Edwards Show. I'm your host, Erica Edwards, and today our guest is Richard Miller from Keep Six organization here in Toronto. And I'm really excited to have Richard here with us tonight. He is going to be telling us about the event that will be taking place tomorrow and about the Keep Six organization. Welcome, Richard.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
I'm so glad to have you here tonight. So first of all, why we are here is tomorrow at 7 p.m. live on Facebook and YouTube. We are going to be having the roundtable discussion. Will be a panel discussion on systemic issues in corrections. And this is part one, correct?
That is correct. So we'll be having part one, and then the final on Thursday, and September 3rd, we'll be having part two.
Okay, so September 3rd is the second part.
Yes.
Okay, so the title of this panel discussion is Systemic Issues in Corrections. So before we talk about Keep Six, tell me a little bit about what the panel will be discussing tomorrow. So from my understanding, the host is going to be an ABC, which is an accomplished Black Canadian woman, and her name is Jacqueline Dixon. So she is the CEO of New Era Commerce. She is a mentor, she's a speaker, an inspirational speaker, and so many more things. And she will be the host of the panel discussion tomorrow night, right, Richard?
That is correct.
And so who else do you have on this panel? I see the flyer, I read up on it, and it looks like you have some real heavy hitters, some people in the industry that can really give us some insight. Can you let us know who'll be on the panel tomorrow?
Sure. So on the panel tomorrow, we'll be having Jacqueline Edwards, who's the president of ABLE, and ABLE stands for Association of Black Law Enforcement. We'll also be having Spider Jones, who's a boxer, and also he's received in May 11th, 2020 this year for 30 years of dedication service to vulnerable youth, and he's also a former boxer. We'll also be having Jordana Goldlist, a founder of Who Judges the Judge movement, and she's also a defense lawyer in Toronto here. Also, we'll be having Mr. David Mitchell, who's Assistant Deputy Minister for Youth and Corrections. And last but not least, we'll also be having Renew Gooden, Assistant Deputy Minister for Community Service, will be speaking on behalf of the Solicitor General Office.
Wow, so that is quite the lineup. And I'm actually, as a woman, I took note of how many women are on the panel, and I think that is amazing. So now, speaking of systemic issues in corrections, are you speaking from the side of the youth and the young men that go into the system, or the people who work within the system?
I'm speaking from the side of the individual that's going into the system, but also the individual who works in the system, because I've come across to realize that there's a set of individuals when it comes to the issue itself, and it's no different across the table when it comes to correction itself.
And so, I know that this will be discussed tomorrow, and the panel discussion will be going from 7 until when? What is the
7 until 9 p.m.
7 until 9 p.m. And so, can you tell me some of the issues that you will be discussing?
Some of the things we would like to discuss is about how offenders are treated when it comes to these issues, racial issues, and how it's been handled, and also about addressing it to making changes to move forward in life. Things have been the same for a number of years, and it's just time with what's going on globally. We step up and address these issues, but also look for changes, not just talk about it, but move forward to make things better for the future.
So to actually, tell me if I'm wrong, brainstorm for actual actions that we can take as a community, as citizens, to make changes to the system, to how people entering the system are treated. That's what we're looking at?
Yes, but also, yes, that is correct. That's fair to say.
Now, you were saying about the global climate. In the last few months, things have changed dramatically in our world.
Mhm.
From between COVID, but then also to the Black Lives Matter in the United States, our southern neighbors really coming to life and really coming to light with incidents that have happened there. How would you say those instances have affected us here as Canadians? Do you feel that there's a difference, or is it really a global issue, or is it something you're looking at specifically within the Canadian justice system?
Within the Canadian justice system itself, we have the same issues globally. It's not as if that we're having issues differently from what everybody else is having. The thing about it is that it comes the time that we have to get our government to really start looking at these issues and hear the voices of these people who has been complaining and speaking about these issues. That is, that's my vision, and that's how I'm looking at it.
Okay, so let me ask you for a little bit of a sneak peek and maybe a little forward to the end of that conversation. Is there anything that you, Richard, have in mind? Is there any action that you think that can be taken to change how the young men and women going into the system, how that can be changed?
One of the things I think I look at is the fact of about we build in something where they have that support, but also to keep them from out of the system itself. Um, of, Over time, I personally feel the way it's set up to trap these and suppress these young men and women. The system itself is built as a part of to suppress people, although they might say differently, but how they conduct themselves, that's how, the society itself, that's how society itself gets from it, right? So my main concern right now is about having these individuals at the table and to be able to discuss. And we have individuals who are at a position where it's decision making individuals, so we can brainstorm some ideas and hopefully get something implemented further up the road.
Further up the road. Um, Now, your organization, Keep Six, you had started this in 2017, correct?
That's correct.
Now, Richard, what motivated you to start this organization? What was the inspiration?
It's my personal own experiences. I seen things that I personally did not agree with, and I wanted to make a difference for individuals in the future and people who were left behind. So I wanted to be that voice in the community because I strongly felt that our community was misled by what was seen in television, what they were told, and the actual facts was still sitting there, and the public did not know about it. So my main concern was to address these things and educate our community because I feel that was lacking. And a lot of young people, if you give them that knowledge, then it can make a difference in their lives. So that's where it all um, started, the footprint of it all.
Well, Richard, I'd like to say thank you for your efforts on behalf of our community, because it is men like you that truly make the difference and put a dent in things and start change. So I thank you, and I'm so impressed by what Keep Six does. So if you go to keep6.org, so anybody watching, please go to their website, keep6.org, and it's KEEP, the number 6 and IX.org. And we will put that link in the comments of this live. And if you look at the mission statement, how they do this, all of these things are really impressive. And one of the things I got to speak to Richard briefly before, and I said to him, one of the things that I love about this is the fact that his focus is to prevent and reduce. So instead of fixing on the other end, let's not even have them go into the system, right?
That's right. You have to be able to give the individuals that opportunity and also educate them about the consequences. What we fail to realize a lot of times is that um, in society, it kind of mold individuals into situations. And if we're able to prevent these young people from getting into these situations, then itself, then, we kind of break that cycle, right? So that's how I've kind of focused it. It's about education, and that's one of my main thing, and giving them that knowledge. Because if you feed a person knowledge, and it's good knowledge, then they can able to grow and able to make positive decisions to further themselves in life.
So I see one of the things was, and I was asking about this earlier because I thought it was very interesting. The methods in which you do this prevention and reduction is through mentorship, workshops, speaking engagements. That's the main things that I see. And we were discussing a bit before about the workshops. And as you were just saying now, it's information. Sometimes there are things that are programs and help that is out there, but the people who need them don't know they exist and can't access them. And
Yes,
so that is also something that you're working to bridge, correct?
that's correct. So one of the workshops we at Keep Six we provide is a trade seminar or trade workshop. One of the things we have to realize is that when it comes to crime, poverty plays a very large part of it. So if you're able to give an individual that opportunity where they can sustain to have contribute back to society, but also have stable employment where they're making a good income, it breaks down that cycle of them being incarcerated or being in that trap. So we do this workshop in the trade, and we connected with union members. So everything from the carpenters union to electrical union, in the trade, laborers union, and so forth. And these unions in the trade industry, an average person might have maybe a $40,000 a year income to start. So these are very positive things. So one of the things these young people always say is, well, I wasn't aware that this was available to me.
Yeah.
So if I don't know that this is available to me, I'm just going to stay in my box, you know. So what we decided to do was take these trade workshops directly into the community where these young people are, so that they're able to get that information, but also able to ask questions and to move forward.
And to move forward. I think that, what you said really is, I know there are other factors, but I would think that lack of feeling that you don't have a future, not knowing there are options to you beyond minimum wage, that poverty does lead to crime. I don't think many people who have would take if they did not need. I think the percentage of people who just want to be a criminal is extremely small. It always starts from a need, not so much a desire, but a need. And speaking on that, that you work with at-risk and oppressed communities experiencing poverty and crime. And poverty, it seems to be circular, that poverty leads to crime, and crime because it often removes breadwinners from the home, or makes it so that you have single parent homes or other adults that are no longer in a home. That again contributes to poverty. So it's a circle that our young people are in. Now, there is actually something, Richard, that I want to ask you about. With all the recent events, we've had a lot of news coming out of the United States. And one of the things that I've seen recently, and I don't know if you've seen this, but you have some people saying that the experience of American Blacks is unique to just them. And I've even seen people say that they're actually, Black people in Canada don't experience what African Americans do. Can you speak to that?
I wouldn't say so. I think we experience maybe just it's just maybe a little bit not in the daylight as it is there and so forth. But we have a tremendous amount of issues here also. I think what we have to realize as a community, a lot of things are kept underneath. My version of it is underneath the blanket. And a lot of fear is put into people, and that they don't come out and speak up about these events that take place. The only reason why, personally, we are seeing all this now is because of cell phones and cameras, right? These are things that's been going on for hundreds of years. Let's not get it,
It's not
out of
new.
content. This is not new, right? So with that said, I mean, it's here. I mean, I personally myself in my lifetime, I've experienced a great deal of it myself too, and seen it firsthand. So it is here, but unfortunately, we just maybe it's just not on Front Street like it is in the United States.
Correct. I think that here in Canada, what it is I call it polite racism. Here we have, Canadians are known to be very polite. And I think that's what it is that it's not overt. Although when you're on the receiving end, it does feel very overt, but it doesn't look exactly the same, but the end results end up are the same. And also too, having a smaller population, a 10-to-1 population, obviously you see the differences there as well. But here in Canada, and especially here in Toronto, we definitely do have these problems. And in speaking with these people on the panel, brainstorming and getting ideas, that's one thing. But now how do you connect them with the government? Like, what is that what part two is about?
Well, part two is not necessarily how we connected. These individuals that are on the panel are actually government officials, right?
Okay.
So they are individuals who are in a position to address these things and work towards changes. So my argument with them, or my point of view, is that what are you able to do, and what are you willing to do for us to make these changes? What I find personally that happens to a lot of individuals, once they get into position, a lot of people will worry about, well, my retirement package, and I don't want to be the one who, put the fork in the hay and disturb things, right? So that's my concern, is about the changes. And we already know that our government or our systems are always saying, well, we're doing this and we're doing that. We plan to do this and we plan to do that. But we don't want to hear about it. We plan to do it. We want to see it done now. It's a time for changes. It's
Yeah,
definitely
we want to
right.
see it done. And I love what you just said, Richard. What are you able to do and what are you willing to do? Because a lot of us are aware of the problem. We can keep on talking about it and voicing our opinions, but I do think that it is time to take action and figure out what it is that you can do within your community, whatever your position may be, and for you to assemble such a powerful panel that are actually, as you said, government officials that can get things done. And I guess these are the hay disturbers, as you say. These are the people that are willing to, disturb the hay. So part two, now, during this panel discussion, is there a way for the audience to participate?
Oh, yes, definitely. So the panel itself is streamed on Facebook and YouTube. They're
Okay.
able to ask questions by typing in. But if there's someone who would like, we're able to bring that person into the panel on the screen and able to ask a question, they can exit. So that is set up that an individual are able to join in and participate.
Okay, and you said it's going to be on Facebook and YouTube, and that will be on which YouTube channel?
Keep Six, KEEP, the number 6IX.org,
Mm-hmm.
and also Facebook.
Same thing, Keep
Our
Six.
platform.
Okay, perfect. And I will also be sharing that out tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. So just before we wrap it up, because as I knew, half an hour flies by so quickly. Um, one of the things that I would like you to clarify is the title of the panel discussion is Systemic Issues in Corrections. Can you clarify for our listeners, for our viewers, what is it meant by systemic?
Well, it's meant particularly about the racial suppression that happens within correction. You have to remember something, that when we have our people and they're in a position when they're already been suppressed and they've been held, they already have fear in them, they're taken advantage of. they might say they have a voice, but they don't have that voice. We've had received many calls just over COVID-19 situation about families, about how their loved ones been treated and how they're being handled, right? So that's where I am, the whole title came from. It's about what is going on within the walls. We're all paying taxpayers, we're all paying money, and but what we're paying for and what's been taken of how these human beings are being treated is two different situations, right? So we want to bring it to light and address it, and maybe to have some changes implemented.
To have some changes implemented. And that really is the goal of this panel. It's not just to discuss, it's to have those discussions lead to ideas that can be implemented within a reasonable amount of time as well. I'm sure that the change you're looking for is not 20 years down the line, but now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're quite aware that we've heard a lot of time about changes going to be happening and everything else. It never takes place. And I think now in society with what's going on, we've just been held back, and it's definitely time to really buckle down and look at really what's going on, and even to um, give a more positive, sustainable um, future for these people.
This is beautiful. Well, as I said when we started, Richard, thank you so much for doing. Thank you so much for taking your ideas and your passions and turning them into something tangible for the young men and women of this city. This is something that I would love to see spread to other cities and become national. And I am also very thankful that this panel discussion will be happening, and it is truly impressive, the panel that you have been able to assemble, the not only just the variety, but where they are within the system. So again, it will be systemic issues in corrections. Part 1 is tomorrow, part 2 is on September 3rd. And it will be at 7 p.m. It goes until 9, and you can join in, you can discuss. It will be, you can see it in the background on his screen, Keep Six, KEEP number 6, IX.org. And that will be tomorrow. So we're going to be discussing ways to actually get change going for the young men and women that go into the system and are treated unfairly, and are really almost, what's the word, herded in and
Okay.
kept. So do you have any closing words? Is there anything you want us to keep in mind as we get ourselves ready and prepared between tonight and tomorrow for this panel discussion?
I'd just like for a community to really step up to the plate and be a part of this discussion, share your ideas, your thoughts, share your experiences and your voice. That's important, very important to us. We want to hear your voice. We want to hear what you've gone through. We want to hear about your loved ones. We want to hear how you would like to see things change in the future. We'd like you to, participate with the panel and share your views with the panels and so forth. And also just be a voice in the community. And if you see someone going through difficult times, take that moment and have a conversation with that person. It might just change that person's life tremendously. Don't just walk away.
That is wonderful closing advice. It's time to step up, everybody. We have to figure out what it is that we can do to help, something tangible. We are all at different levels. We all have different abilities, but it could be anything from starting an organization like Richard did to simply adding your voice in, sharing the information, pointing out maybe a young person that you see or know in the direction of the Keep Six organization, and they can take it from there. So again, Richard, thank you so much for joining with me tonight to share this event, to share this news. And I would love to speak with you again for the follow-up to see what happened with the panel discussions and what was able to come of it and where we're going from there. So I'd love to have a follow-up with you after part 2, if that's possible.
Very much so. You're welcome anytime.
That would be wonderful. So everyone, please remember Keep Six with the number 6.org. Go check out their sites. They have some amazing programs. Maybe during discussion, there is a young person that you know of. It may not be your child or your brother or your sister, but it might just be someone on the block that you know that seems like they might be headed down the wrong path. And with a little bit of guidance, mentorship, workshops, information, we can change lives. How many 17-year-old boys really know they can make $30 an hour legitimately? So thank you again, Richard. It was wonderful to have you. And I look forward to what comes of this discussion and what we can get moving here in 2020 and beyond.
Thank you so much for having me, and blessings.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.